to see them. Same with the Chargers too. They're working on that as well. But another firing I wanted to talk about was the Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Pederson being let go. And I was mentioning this to you yesterday where I saw LaShawn McCoy go on a bit of a rant about this. And he was talking about how Doug Pederson essentially had to obviously make up for the lack of quarterback play from Trevor Lawrence and obviously his injuries. And he made a comment on that too in his exit presser as well, or I think it was the end of the year presser that he did, saying that like it's tough to win games when your quarterback isn't healthy for majority of them, right? And that's kind of been Trevor Lawrence's. He's been in and out of the lineup. And not only that, but like I just haven't seen him be a standout quarterback yet either. I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on that, and then we can kind of expand on these.
Trevor Lawrence's show me money. I don't know when that happened. I don't know if he's got Jerry Maguire for a fucking agent at this point, but someone said show me the money and then they paid. Like I don't understand the stats. I think they've compared him. I can't remember what I was watching, but at one point I believe the stats coincide between Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence, and Daniel Jones just got cut. So like up until this point they had similar seasons and stats, and then all of a sudden you're now telling me that this guy's as prolific and going to get paid $55 million a year. Like, and you had said it perfectly. I think, where have you won that dictates that cash? And yes, you were a top pick. Yes, you clearly have talent, and develop wise, like you just said, injuries have definitely played a part so far in his career, but I don't think enough to then warrant that contract. And I don't think enough to even get into that next phase where you're saying, hey, like, you know, is this the coaching or is this the quarterback? You know, I'm sure we'll get into this right now, but I don't really get what Trevor Lawrence has developed into yet. Like, what can we call Trevor Lawrence in this league right now, if not for a mid to above average when playing really well? But if you've watched the Jacksonville Jaguars game, you've seen his arm. It's not very accurate. It like there was moments of great play, but that comes across a lot of quarterbacks in this league where they have a great. We just talked about Joe Milton, for God's sakes.
Greatness is consistency, right?
And it can be flashed, right? Like,
in this league.
And obviously
has flashes.
Trevor Lawrence is a huge college career. I don't think it's translated just yet, and it's yet to be seen. So. I don't get your thoughts on that, but I haven't seen it enough to warrant that. I don't know. This whole situation is interesting.
I completely agree, and that just kind of building off of the comments by LaShawn McCoy here, it just goes back to like, just because you're like next man up here, why does that warrant you being like the highest paid kind of thing? You know, like. For such mediocre quarterback play, like, yeah, we get it. You had the history. Sure, is there potential there? Yeah, absolutely. But what happened to prove it? You know, like, show me what you can do that's going to warrant the payday that you're going to get. I want to see you work for it. I want to see you show me why you deserve that paycheck. Like, why are we just handing it out? And then on the backside of this, it's these the coaches are suffering because of poor quarterback play. So someone's got to take the fall here, and you're not going to get rid of the quarterback you just paid $500 million or whatever the contract is, right? Like, it's not going to happen. So I feel like a lot of good coaches are just getting canned quickly because the quarterback is just not performing and the GM is the one paying them. It's just, it doesn't make sense, and I think it's really backwards right now. And then I was telling you on the flip side, like, with Zach Taylor and the Bengals, you get great quarterback play, and that masks the deficiencies from the head coach. And he still has a job because of the fact that his quarterback is so good, and it covers up a lot of those holes. So it seems to be the narrative now. And it's like, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're kind of out of a job. But you look at what Mike Tomlin's done, and then we'll get to him and talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers too. But, you know, a great team isn't just going to be built solely off just the quarterback play. There's a lot of elements that go into it. Is a quarterback important? Absolutely it is. Most important piece for sure. But you got to have other pieces around it too, and you got to get them to perform. So I don't know if Pederson's necessarily the reason for how shit they've been, but it kind of is what it is with the way the league is going right now. It's just frustrating to see how we're just paying these players and they haven't really performed.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I just quickly brought up his stats because I was like, I know he was bad. He's on my fantasy team. I traded from this guy over here a couple years back. We won't get into details of that trade. It's wild. But fuck. And this season, obviously he's played hurt a little bit, but he had 5 of the 9 games not even throwing 200 yards.
Yeah.
Like he's not necessarily that. Like you compare these stats in the same contract that Joe Burrow just got. Yeah, they were hurt. They were hurt too, to be fair, right? But
I mean, ETN fell off. Like I don't know what happened there.
ETN fell off. Well, he was a little hurt, and then obviously
Brian Thomas put up record numbers.
Brian Thomas doesn't apparently need Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Mac Jones.
So he's a stud. Evan Ingram was a great tight end.
Evan Ingram,
for a bit there.
But he was hurt. Yeah. Kirk,
I think
hurt. Right?
Yeah,
there were a lot of pieces that Jacksonville just failed, on that part. But like he's just he hasn't shown it yet. Like it just hasn't come through. At all.
So it's that's a team that I'm going to keep eyes on. I'm interested to see what happens there because, man, I just haven't seen it from Trevor Lawrence. So who are you going to bring in?
Yeah.
Who's going to get this team going? But I mean, if anything, that division at least is a little bit more, wide open.
Yeah.
There's no one that's like we expected the Texans to be dominant. Didn't happen. So I think you have a little bit more ease in that division to be a better team and get back on the horse there. So.
I had Jags, for context, I had Jags going number 1 in this division.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'll eat that one. Yeah. And what it is, because I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to take another step. He did have 2 seasons prior where they were pretty good. But kind of like building upon, I thought last year he took a little step back. This year was a big step back given all the situation. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see it come through, but I think you're right. Doug Pederson, did he deserve it? I don't know. Again, it's just a culture thing and what you're going to look for as a foundation going forward. Not a big winning team this year by any means, obviously.
No. And then, so we got a surprise. Giants retaining Brian Dable and GM Joe Schoen.